Press Clint. Good morning. Press Jo, nakita ko na siya dyan kanina. Si Press Jonathan.
Good morning, Press G.
Good morning po. Ikaw na susunod, di ba?
Di pa. October pa.
Press Melvin
October.
pa yata. Press Melvin.
Si Press Melvin. Press Melvin, good morning. Ay, nakamute ka.
Hello, Press G, okay na ba ang sound ko? Ang mic ko? Mas
Okay
malinaw?
naman. Okay naman.
Mas kumpara kanina?
Oo.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Press G.
Good morning.
Good morning
Press
po.
Clint.
Blockbuster to ah.
In-expect mo 300 pa or more. So, 185 pa lang, Press Clint.
Lahati pa Press Clint. Nag-register is 300 plus, right?
Yes, around 320 na actually.
Paki-remind po yung iba na yung mga kasama natin para makaabot sila sa start.
Oo, para hindi masayang kanilang attendance. So, it's 10:10.
Okay.
Press RC.
Yes, Press. We can start.
We can start now. Okay. Roll on. MC, Architect Darwin.
Okay, magandang umaga o hapon po sa inyong lahat sa amang paning isulok ng mundo. I'm Architect Darwin Fundano. I'm really honored to be your moderator for this event. Welcome to our 7th PPO-SA webinar entitled Modern Filipino Architecture and Design, hosted by UAP KSA EPC under the leadership of President Geraldine Swede. Thanks to our guest speaker especially and to our every organization na nandito ngayon. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras na binigay. And I know you are excited to be here, right? So relax and enjoy the day. Thank you very much. So let us first invoke the presence of our Lord through the Christian prayer with Architect Joey Salta and to be followed by an Islamic prayer with Architect Leo Lozard.
Amen. So, tayo po munang narinig niyo ko?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Tayo po munang manalangin. Let us bow our head and put ourselves in the presence and holiness of our God the Father. Maraming salamat po, O Diyos, sa umagang ito na punong-puno ng pagpapala, O God. Salamat sa mga nagdaang araw sa aming mga buhay na patuloy niyong iniingatan sa lahat ng oras. At salamat din po, God, sa pag-iingat niyo sa amin, sa aming mga pamilya, sa aming mga loved ones. Salamat po, O Diyos, sa walang hanggang pag-ibig na patuloy niyong pinapadama sa bawat isa sa amin. Tunay nga po na kayo ang aming Diyos na hindi nagbabago noon, ngayon at magpakailanman. Tunay nga po, Lord God, na tapat po kayo sa mga pangako. Tunay na napakabuti niyo, O Diyos. Hallelujah. Almighty and ever-loving God, we glorify you and bless you. You have showered us with so much blessings, and your presence continuously remind us of your faithfulness and guidance. With this, may we humbly ask to shower our speaker today, Architect Royal Pineda, of your greatest inspiration, so that he may share the most of his knowledge, heart and soul, to his topic today about modern Filipino architecture plus design. May we also absorb the valuable knowledge, experience, and put it into practice what we may learn today. We pray also, God, sa lahat po ng committees in charge, that they may be able to fulfill their tasks responsibly, that the objectives they have set may all be achieved. Salamat po, God, sa kanilang walang sawang dedikasyon at pagpapagal po, Panginoon. Tunay nga na, gabay niyo sila, O God. Your infinite blessing would mean the success of this webinar. May we be a living witnesses of your genuine love through the enactment of the knowledge acquired through this activity. Tinataas po namin ito, O God, sa pangalan ng aming Panginoong Jesucristo, na aming tagapagligtas at sa iyong banal na Espiritu. Ito po ang aming dalangin. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Joss.
Architect Lusaria for the Islamic prayer.
Narinig niyo po ba?
Yes,
Okay po.
opo.
Okay po. Let us pray and ask for God's guidance and mercy sa ating daily endeavors po kung ano man ginagawa natin araw-araw. Pray po tayo ng guidance at awa ng ating Panginoon. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu, Iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim, siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim, ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waddallin. Amin.
Okay, maraming salamat po Architect Joey Salta and Architect Leo Lusaria. So tuloy-tuloy na po tayo to begin our program. We are pleased to have our PPO President RC Fernando of PICPA to deliver the opening remarks.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning po.
Clear po ba, Arki?
Clear,
Opo,
clear.
opo,
Loud and
clear.
clear.
Okay. So again, good morning, good afternoon sa Philippines. Good morning dito sa Middle East. And of course, this is a great opportunity para ibahagi sa atin ng isang well-known architect, no, ang modern Philippines, no, modern architecture and design that will cater, no, not only the skills and the talent of our architect, but also to showcase kung ano ba yung magiging future ng Philippines, no, through the help of this architecture. And also I think it will help also to modernize the mindset of the Filipinos, no. Again, I will not take much of your time. Let's enjoy this webinar, listen, learn from the from this very well-known speaker for today. And I would like also to take this opportunity, you know, to congratulate him as an awardee of the Global Inang Bayani Award 2020 for Architecture and Design. No? Congratulations, Architect Royal Pineda. Again, good morning po sa ating lahat and let's enjoy. Back to you, sir.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Mr. President. At least buhay na buhay ang ating webinar. Malayo man, pero napapalapit din. So, hindi ko na po papatagalin pa. I would like to call the chapter president of UAP PSA EPC, the first lady, or the first woman, lady president in the history of our chapter, to introduce our guest speaker for this morning. So, kaso may...
Dali, tumawag yung assistant ni Architect Royal. Wait. Yes? Okay. Okay, andyan na ba? Alam ko nandiyan na si Architect Royal, no?
Yes po. So,
yes, okay. I'm so honored and proud to present to you, to introduce to you a very good friend of mine, Architect Royal Pineda. Let me read some important info about him. Royal Pineda is the principal architect and CEO of Budji+Royal, the lead advocate of modern Filipino architecture and design, making him the most sought-after resource speaker on the subject. Together with principal designer and chairman Budji+Royal, Royal continues to spread their design philosophy and practical luxury in various projects in Beijing, Hong Kong, Singapore, India, Turkey, Malaysia, Indonesia, Australia, USA, United Kingdom, France, Germany, Vietnam, Thailand, and Israel. Royal is currently co-chair of the First Design Advisory Council of the Philippines. He was awarded a doctorate degree by the Polytechnic University of the Philippines and named BCI Asia's top 10 architects. He was given Creative Force Award for the NAIA Airport Terminal 1 and the Mactan Cebu International Airport Terminal For Project Luz Biminda, his contribution of weaving the Philippine Islands with a network of roads, bridges, and railways. Royal was named National Innovator and Visionary. He spearheads Budji+Royal project in the modern Philippine city that include the new Clark International Airport, the Sacobia River Bridge, and the iconic Athletic Stadium and Aquatic Center for the 2019 Southeast Asian Games. As overall theme director and principal architect, Royal leads the creation of Bangkota, the Philippines Pavilion for the Dubai Expo 2020. And just recently, he was awarded as Global Inang Bayan Bayani Award 2020 for Architecture and Design. And of course, without further ado, alam ko na everyone is so excited to hear him. Let us all welcome our guest speaker for this morning, for this afternoon, none other than Architect Royal Pineda.
Hi everyone. Good morning to everybody there. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Yes.
Thank
Loud
you.
and clear po.
Okay, thank you so much. First, I would like to thank all of you for inviting me to my good friend Geraldine G. This is one of the most important events also in my promotion of this modern Filipino architecture and design, because to reach you guys there in the UAE, I mean, it's something that's very important to me in presenting the modern Philippines. I will be talking today about modern Filipino sensibility. It's the modern Filipino architecture, the modern Filipino architecture and design. But it's not limited to architecture. This is actually beyond architecture. This is beyond design. This is about the modernity of the minds of the Filipinos that I'm promoting. And that's why it's very important for me to have it and to be able to join you today. And I'm so glad that it's also well attended by a lot of people, because we have architects, accountants, I believe we have doctors, dentists, teachers, and engineers. So this is something that I'm very excited about. So I hope you enjoy and somehow, have something to take home after my talk. So I'll just make cuento to all of you what this modern Filipino architecture and design is all about. So please let me start with my slides. So we are Budji+Royal. We are actually the modern Filipino architecture and design advocate here in the Philippines and abroad. We are together doing this collaboration in trying to define our nation through architecture and design. And in doing this, we are also somehow very eager in trying to refine what this modern Filipino architecture and design, and at the same time refining its process, its system of how to achieve it. And one of the key elements in doing a modern Filipino architecture and design, to be able to present it to the world, we have to do total design. That means to say, we are basically doing and trying to manage everything in the projects, because we need to be able to somehow achieve authenticity in our designs. And it cannot be, as we call it, chop suey. In Filipino, madami tayong nakikitang halo-halo na design in the Philippines. And this is something that we want to get out of. We want to get out of the bondage of this confusion, of this many things that is unclear. And doing total design we have to work together with many people, but we do master planning, architecture, and all the items listed here in the screen. What you'll see is it's an overall approach. No, it's an overarching approach of creativity. So the modern Filipino sensibility is not limited to architecture and design alone, but it is everywhere. You know, it can be in the modern Filipino system of, you know, even collecting taxes or collecting your license from the LTO. That requires modernity, that requires design. You know? And that is part of my role also as the co-chair of the first Design Council, Design Advisory Council of the Philippines, wherein I would like to put together and be able to create a very fluid collaboration with many allied services and creative people who can improve our country. You know? Again, this is not limited to private practice, but this extends to the government. You know? For everyone, I would like to share that you know, doing total design, you have to be able to open up to collaboration. I cannot do everything, and all of us need the help of everyone to be able to achieve this modern Filipino architecture and design, or the modern Filipino sensibility. And in doing collaboration, we have to present, and in fact, we have to define collaboration. We needed to come up with a definition of collaboration with our own terms to be able to open up to this modernity of the mind. You know? For us, collaboration is where ego is absent, and then the ideas will be constantly present. You know? This is quite important because I believe that the vision is so big. You know? It's so big that we want the better Philippines to happen. But one person cannot do it alone. It needs us as Filipinos to work together, to find ways and envision this together, and let the generations that will come and help us, you know, achieve the moving and the evolving Filipino sensibility. Now, so the modern collaboration actually is the modern bayanihan. No? It is our Filipino trait. In fact, I'm very happy to see all of you guys with this organization of Filipinos overseas, that you, even with the distance, you are all together, you are still doing bayanihan. And I believe this is the modern bayanihan that I'm saying. It will never be absent in the Filipino soul. You know, I think it's always with us as Filipinos to do bayanihan and to always work together and find ways. Budji+Royal is all about ideas. We are all about creativity. We are all about, you know, concepts of betterment. This is who we are. We are a naturalist, and later I'll explain to you why I am a naturalist and my partner Budji. I am also a modernist, so I love to see things progressing. I love to see things moving forward. And again, modernity is something that is, you know, I've embraced for the past 25 years in my practice. I've always seek for progress, and I've always dreamt of modernity for the country, for the Philippines. We are Filipino. Most importantly, this is something that we celebrate. We cherish this. We are proud to present the Filipino-ness and the Filipino in us in the whole part of the globe. No? So as I present to you this wholeness of what I'm doing as a modern Filipino architecture and design, I would like you to first understand the depth of where it's coming from. I would like you to understand the roots. I would like you to understand the precepts of this whole idea, no? That this concept of modern Filipinos is not just a style that we are doing. It is not a style of design. It is actually coming from a reasoning, a belief system. And that belief system is the concept of nature. No? I believe in the nature of things, that everything evolves organically, you know, that nature is always in control and it will always be managing us. And the first part of that philosophy, and this is something I discovered 25 years ago, nature is peace. You know, nature will always be peaceful. You know, for me, nature will always present something good. You know, the whole concept of creation is for the good. You know? And I believe my creator will not create something that is bad. So nature's peace is my foundation. This is something I discovered so many years back when I was in college. And I evolved to understand that nature will always do its own thing. Just don't get in the way, but the nature of things is all about peace. You know, you can look at an erupting volcano and it's still peaceful. You know? This is how I feel and this is how I see things. And that is why I appreciate nature all the time. This second precept is something that I needed to resolve within me in the middle of my career, because I've been battling with the concept, and this is not just applicable to architecture, but this is applicable to anybody, to humanity, wherein man and nature, the concept before, wherein you say man and nature, is always a separated element. There's always a separation. There's duality in this. But I would like to challenge everyone to live a different life wherein man is believed to be nature itself. Because once you believe that man is nature, I tell you, you will never disrespect nature again the way we are doing it before. No. Because once you respect nature like you respect yourself, because you treat it as you, I believe that things will be better for humanity, and not just for the Filipinos, but for the whole human race. The variety of the world is the third one, which is also the last, but one of the most important. This is something that I would like to share with you, because this is something that gave me conviction in doing what is modern Filipino. In fact, in my experience, and I just want to share with you this particular experience, two of my good friends came to me and asked me, Royal, why are you doing modern Filipino architecture and design? You should do modern tropical, you know, modern Asian, modern something. For the reason that you are limiting yourself and you will not, you know, be able to go out there. But that's where I disagree, because I believe that the variety of the world is something very distinct. Like the Filipinos were placed in the Philippines for a reason. The French were placed in France for a reason. And the Italians are placed in Italy for a reason. Now, the challenge is to evolve and to be better as a variety of what your nation is all about and what you are as a people. So this is my challenge to all Filipinos, wherein we are one of the great varieties of the world. For me, there is always equality. But the challenge is to be better, to make your standards be global. It's not constantly that the global standards is what we adapt to the Philippines. Why can't we create our own refined standards, be better as Filipinos, and be able to share it to the globe? So this is the variety of the world. The variety of the world is there's a reason for all of us why we are in this particular soil. And this is what I'm saying. The variety of the world is something that we can bring out there. That's why you Filipinos who are working abroad are out there. You are being imported by different countries, different nations, because you have a variety that the other nations are looking for. And this is something that we should cultivate. No? So in terms of architecture, and I believe there's a lot of architects here, I mean, you can relate to this issue. A lot of people, when you ask them, what is Filipino architecture? They usually have this big question mark. And in fact, they will look at you blankly and have this confused face because they will tell you that there is no Philippine architecture. No, there is nothing because we were colonized, so on and so forth. But I have to resolve this issue because I want to get out of the bandage of confusion. And this is a bandage that we carry up to now. You know, this colonial mentality, this strong concept that we feel that, you know, it's the imported that's better. It's the thing that's outside that's better. But we are forgetting that we Filipinos can be a variety, you know, with great design, with great creativity, with great contributions. So this concept of what is Filipino, I needed to resolve this as an architect. I needed to define what is Filipino so that I can move forward to say what's modern Filipino architecture and design. I cannot say and claim I'm doing modern Filipino architecture if I don't even know what's Filipino. So if you look at the Bahay Kubo and the Ifugao house or any of those houses that we've seen from the past, they're all Filipino architecture of their time. But the key to real and honest Filipino architecture is all about the truthfulness of the approach. When Juan de la Cruz, take note, Juan de la Cruz was not even an architect. He was not an architect. He was a Filipino with his truthful approach in trying to put together the free pawid or the nipa hut or the nipa, the free bamboo, the concept of raising the floor because it floods when it rains and there are predators. I mean, the pitch roof that became the silhouette of the roof, those became a manifestation of what is Filipino architecture that we understand today. But take note, it was just done truthfully with the practicality in mind of Juan de la Cruz. And this is what I'm saying, that we don't need to take it literally, that a Filipino should always live in a bahay kubo. No? So the authenticity of the product is the result of this truthfulness. This truthfulness will now guide us to come up with conviction, with our dignity, with our integrity as Filipinos, that we have our own identity. So this is the key to achieving a modern Filipino architecture and design. So what is modern Filipino architecture and design? Now that we know what is Filipino, and I hope that enlightens some of the architects and maybe some of you guys there. When I talk about modern Filipino, please don't make a mistake in the impression of seeing a visual or an architecture that is just pure metal or concrete or glass or anything. Modernity for me is about betterment. So when I proclaim modern Filipino city as for Clark, or the modern Philippines for Bangkota, or for the modern Filipino architecture and design, I always refer to the betterment. When I start to put modernity in the word Filipino, I always seek for something better. That is why it will never stop. It will always progress. It is not contemporary. It is not now, limited to now. It is moving forward. Even to the next generation, if I share this concept to one person and you share it to the next child that you have or your children, the modernity of the mind is important. This is what I'm sharing. I would like to give an example, which I always share with people. The concept of time, that when you say Filipino time, you tend to already say you're late. No? You already admit and embrace the fact that Filipino time is always late. But when you say, I am a modern Filipino, modernity is betterment. I cannot claim to be a modern Filipino and I'm late, later than the prescribed time. I need to be, if I'm a modern Filipino, I need to be ahead of time or at least be on time. Right away, you can claim to be modern. You can claim as Filipino to be modern and better. So I don't believe that we have to wait for us to be first world to be better. We can all be better now because we are for progression. We always seek progression. We always seek the progressive approach in many things. We always seek for betterment. We always seek for what is Filipino. I try to be as authentic as I can be. I present myself as Filipino as I can be. And this is where I'm saying that start digging, start digging who we are as Filipino. We are not limited to our history of the 400 years with the Spaniards. We are not limited to all this history of the Japanese or the Americans. We have 6,000, 4,000, 7,000 years of history, wherein we as Filipinos were wearing golds and beautiful crafts, beautiful works that are made by our ancestors. And we can get all these roots of dignity and pride beyond the 400 years. So that's what I'm just trying to say. There are more stories that we are not aware of that you can all be proud of as Filipino, because we are very rooted, we are very deeply rooted, we are very much defined as a Filipino even before all the Spaniards came and the rest of our conquerors came here in the Philippines. It needs to be truthful, as I said, because I believe that when Juan de la Cruz created the Bahay Kubo, he was just very honest with it. And what came out to be is it became very practical. It became a luxury for a Filipino for the time. During those times when you didn't have shelter, Juan de la Cruz came out with an idea. He came up with an idea that a Bahay Kubo can be built. And it protected them from the rain, the heart to protect and create a shelter for the family, the heart to take care of the family, which is very Filipino, was there. So he built the Bahay Kubo. He created that, and it became a luxury of a Filipino during that time, because they don't need to sleep anymore in caves or in the mud, because when it rains, it gets muddy. They're protected from the predators, and so on and so forth. With the concept of practical luxury, we have to coin this practical luxury. We call it practical luxury because as I mentioned to you a while ago, sorry, I cannot wait to be first world before I can experience luxury. I don't agree with that, because I believe that the Filipinos serve luxury now. I cannot wait for tomorrow. It needs to happen now. That luxury can be achieved by practicality, by design. And we are all practical. We are all very Filipino. We are all creative. As Juan de la Cruz made it, those are free bamboo, those are free pawid, free nipa. And it was really about the creativity of the Filipino that made it luxurious. So we can do this. We can do something that can really elevate us as people. No? Now, just to share with you the interpretation and the execution of this concept of this modern Filipino architecture and design, I would like to just share with you some of the projects that we have done. And again, just to somehow let you understand how a modern Filipino sensibility can be for everybody. No, before when we say Filipino, Baduy. No, when we say Filipino, we always put ourselves down. We try to demoralize ourselves. We always see the bad things about the Filipinos. This time, we want to bring out the essence of the Filipinos, the nature of the Filipinos. So through this architecture, the funny thing is, Budji+Royal is about luxury. We service to a high-end clientele. We do luxury homes. We do high-end homes. We do projects that are resorts and private villas and towers and so on. But what I'm trying to say is, before, people would look for a modern Thai architecture for their homes, a modern Mediterranean, a modern Indonesian or Balinese. They will always look for that. But now, you know what? People, when they come to us, they will ask us, Royal, can you build us a modern Filipino architecture? And this is a celebration that I always enjoy inside me. And I'm just so eager to share it with everyone because, it's just amazing how it all transitioned from being, what we see as Baduy is now a brand of a modern Filipino, and it's out there. So these houses that you'll be seeing, I'll be browsing on these houses just for you to see the sensibility and I would say in a layman's term would be more of a taste, of the Filipinos. But again, please take note that this is not a style, it is not a look, but it is a mindset that I would like to share with everyone. So if you look at it, there you always see something that's very Filipino, which is maaliwalas, because our tropicality is something that we have to really keep and we have to celebrate in we always challenge ourselves that all our houses, we should not turn on a single bulb. No electricity. We can do that. If we can just keep using natural light, the better for us. No, so this is a house that we built in Cebu. So this is, I believe some of you know our furniture designer, Kenneth, is a good friend. So again, every house will have its own distinct character. And this is just one of the, I would say, an exercise that I did not cut a single tree here. I did not cut a single major tree in the location and work with the site and be able to come up with a very open and very natural. It's almost like just being in the garden. But you see, my curtain, against all this glass, the orientation of the architecture is facing, the right angles against the sun. And whenever there is sun, I make sure that the tree will protect me and filter my shade. So I think that is where nature and architecture should collaborate. Now, here you can see that this is a guest house. If you look at the top part where the lady is going up, this is almost like a modern interpretation of an Ifugao house, where you have the lower level as a social space, and the upper level is the sleeping area where a person can stand. No? What's nice here is this couple is, the lady is a German, but the concept is to have their family, whenever they come to the Philippines, they have a place for the guests. And I wanted them to experience a Philippine setting, the tropicality. So on the right side is the Batalan, where they have a jacuzzi, outdoor jacuzzi. And then again, the sleeping and the social space. Now, practical luxury, if you look at the left side of the screen, you see the staircase. The modernity gives you so much freedom. Again, what I'm saying is, a Filipino house doesn't need to look like a bahay kubo all the time. This is not a bahay kubo. But this, I would claim, and I would tell anybody and look at them in the eye and say, this is a modern Filipino architecture. You know, this staircase was designed because of that practicality in the mind and the inspiration of nature as human ergonomics. You know, nobody really stepped in the middle of a spiral staircase, so I didn't put a column in the middle. So I just placed a stringer. So what happened is you minimized all the elements and you made something very iconic in terms of design. You know? So, you know, you can simplify things by doing great creativity and design. You know? So we've done some houses also in Forbes, wherein you can see and feel the tropicality of the spaces. Here you almost like enter a garden, and on the right side is the main house. You can see that the sliding door on the right side slides, and that's the living room. No? The area where there are actually two chairs are actually just the lanai. No, it's actually just the lanai area. Excuse me. And this is another house in Corinthian Hills. So again, it's always about managing sun, managing the air, managing the tropicality, the trees and the elements. And again, it's not about, you know, decoration. It's all about the function and the lifestyle of that Filipino that's living here that we put together, you know. So we have also houses that are, you know, very compact, but you can see a modern Filipino house can be this way, you know. It can have the affordability, the concept of openness is there, and it can be global, you know. It can be something very international, you know. So what I'm trying to say is we can present our sensibility to the world, you know? And just one story that I would like to share with you. When we were doing the house of Manny Pacquiao, Manny came to us and Jinky, and it so happened that they have initial designs in their house. And what they showed us are actually designs that are Louis XIV and the very French designs. You know? And when we presented and we said to them, they asked us if we're presenting something. I said, you know, we're just going to present to you our previous works, and this is the sensibility. And when I said to him, you know, Manny Jinky, this is like, you are an icon of Philippine boxing and the icon of boxing globally, and you are a Filipino. Isn't it amazing that instead of you having a background, whenever you entertain guests from all over the world and they come to the Philippines, isn't it amazing if your background is the modern Philippines and not a French background or an Italian background? You know, right there, and then he decided he would go for a modern Filipino. So this is what I'm saying, that we need first to love ourselves and make sure we don't stop in loving ourselves as Filipinos, but we have to make sure that we refine ourselves as Filipinos. We have to make ourselves better, because out there are many refinements. There are good global practices, but we as Filipinos should create better global practices that is something that we can share to the world, you know, something that's very good for Filipinos, and that can be shared to another tropical country like Singapore, Indonesia, or Malaysia, because it's good. It works in a tropical country. Like this lumot house that we designed, and this is up in the mountains. We call it lumot house because the place just keeps making lumot, and even the trees has lumot. And what we did is the walls, we encourage lumot to grow on those walls instead of, you know, constantly painting them. And it became, you know, one of the most important design that we have done. And it's also been awarded for certain particular awards because of its authenticity, you know, and its honesty in the approach of the design. So basically, you can improve the lives of the Filipinos even with the practical and the most affordable amount or budget that they'll give. So this is another private house in Batangas, and another house in Alabang. Again, it's always about the openness that we celebrate. This is in Punta Fuego. So again, these are all Filipino pieces also. We have designed the pieces to make sure that what we are showcasing is Filipino. We have done also a project in Cebu. I called it the Reef. When this client came to me, they already have an initial concept design, which is a very Spanish-looking building, because they feel that Cebu is all about the Spaniards because of Magellan. But I totally disagree. I believe that Cebu has more treasures, underwater, which is the reef. And so I created an architecture that simulates the reef plates of Cebu, and that made it also one of the most important iconic building in Cebu right now. We have done Signa. I would like to talk about this small project because this is again where practical luxury can happen. With the same budget, you can create luxury by design. And also at the same time, the Philippine design, the modern Filipino architecture and design can always be implemented even in cities. This is in Makati. So what you'll notice is I raised the building up and made everything very open below because I wanted people to be able to walk. The problem with Makati is that there are no pedestrian walkways. You notice that architects are becoming too much of a superstar. They want their buildings to be flamboyant. They want their buildings to be the center of attraction. But what they're forgetting is architecture is for the people. Architecture should shelter the people. And with these very limited walkways, I said, when I was looking at the site, they're asking me, what will be your inspiration? There is no nature in the city because it's Makati. I said, no, there's a lot of nature in Makati. Take note, my philosophy, man is nature. So man was my inspiration. When I saw during the rush hour in Makati, when I was standing on the site, and I saw the rush hour, I saw people crowded, demoralized because of these buildings. That gave me the reason to lift my building up and told myself, let's give back the land to the people. This is the way Signa was created. And if you notice, when you walk in between and you look up, there is a random and scattered lighting layout that you'll see. This is, again, to make the building disappear at night, to make it almost like stars at night. And you totally forget about the volume above you, but you just walk in the street and feel the breeze because that opens up, to Ayala Avenue. Meranti Hotel is another project. This is again another example of practical luxury. This hotel is supposed to charge only $80, a night. Even less. I think when you convert it to peso, it was only 2,500 per night. But when they asked us to design this, we said, let's make us design not a budget hotel, but a designed hotel. So with the same budget, maybe I asked for a little bit of an extra, but then it became a designer's hotel. It became a very important hotel. And in fact, it charges 5,000. It doubled the price, to 7,000 pesos a night. So this is where design can actually happen. This is where the modern Filipino sensibility can improve the lives of the Filipinos. And it applies not just to these big projects, not just to the big houses, but it can apply to your houses, to all our houses, to everybody. It can apply to the way we dress up. Even when you come to work, you always try to design yourself. You try to choose the right clothes. You are already becoming a modern Filipino. So you want to make things better. You want to make things better today, not tomorrow. It's always about, improving things. So we've done a Morita resort in Bohol. Again, this concept is inspired by churches. That's why if you look at the walls, the ceiling, we wanted to celebrate the textures of the old churches, which is limestone, and also make it progressive by keeping the lines very simple, sleek, and modern. But the textures of the wood and the walls are all nostalgic. It creates and gives you the memory of the past, but then it's also very progressive. So we've done tea houses and wellness places. So this is more of a weekend destination. So we've done boutique hotels, bed and breakfast and boutique hotels. So I won't go through much of the details of these ones because I believe that this part of the modern Filipino sensibility to the world is something that you can all relate to, because again, as I mentioned a while ago, when somebody told me, why bring modern Filipino architecture and design? Why not modern tropical? Why not modern Asian? You see, what I'm bringing out there is the sensibility. I'm not building a Bahay Kubo. I'm still creating an American house in the mountains. But what we're bringing here is the sensibility of a Filipino. How we opened up the glass. This is a ground up house. We built it from zero. We created this house and we made sure that openness to nature, that love of nature, that love of the sun and the stars at night. I mean, these are all being manifested in this architecture. And this became a very, very different house against the rest of the house there, because there is a Filipino sensibility. That modern Filipino sensibility will make us important globally. I mean, we are now of value because we have something to offer. And this is a Provençal house. Take note, this house is also ground up. But we have to work with restrictions. The house should be built with a certain look. We modernized it, we simplified it. There should be a character, there should be a manner of construction. But then the openings, the space planning were so Filipino, the openness and the feeling was so Filipino that when we held one dinner there with our neighbors, the French neighbors were so surprised when they entered the house, and they said, we never expect that a French house can be like this. And I was so happy to hear when one of the French couple said, next time when we are gonna build the house, maybe we have to import a Filipino architect to work with our French architect. To bring in this ingredient that a Filipino can only bring. So this is what makes us global. We don't need to abandon our roots to say, I'll do modern tropical, I'll do modern Asian, just because a Filipino will not work. A Filipino will never be at par. A Filipino will always be inferior. No. In fact, challenge ourselves to make us better, to dig into our very roots of who we are and what we are as great people, as great Filipinos. Then we offer it to the world. Then we show them this. Then we show them that our sensibility is something else. It's something that we can give as a token to everyone. So we've done, very old apartments in Paris. Again, we kept the beauty of the nature of Paris sensibility. We've done the World Health Organization in India. Imagine all these projects that they needed to tap a Filipino to approach their project. So there's something in us, and I would like to emphasize this to every Filipino out there, that we are all a jewel. I don't believe that we are, the foreigners are always the great ones. We are equal. I'm not saying that we are competing with anyone. I'm not saying that we are here to be better than anyone. We are all equal, but what I'm saying is let us be better from before. Let us constantly progress as Filipinos. No? So we've done projects in Israel. This is an old granary that we converted. We are doing master planning. So again, we are more into the bigger picture. We've done projects in Thailand and in Malaysia. We were also invited in creating and giving a vision to Brunei when we conceptualized their new city and their, of course, their structures there. This is the vision of the King 2035. But up to now, there's really no progress in Brunei. We've done New Clark City, and I believe some of you are updated with the previous SEA Games, and you know, it made us very proud to have this facility, and we're also proud because a lot of Filipinos got the gold, and I think it really uplifted many spirits, you know, of the Filipinos during that time. Now, just to give you an idea, Budji+Royal and me particularly has been dreaming of a modern Philippines. And when I was actually tapped by the government to do one of these exhibits in Taipei, the exhibition is all about cities. You know, they asked us to design cities. And that particular time, I said to the government that if I will do this project, I don't want to design a city. And then they said, okay, so what do you want to do? What do you want to design? What would you like to present in this particular exhibit? I said, I would like to design the country. I would like to present my vision for the country. And then when they heard that, you know, they were quite curious. What will be the Philippines, you know? And isn't that amazing that we are now wondering what we will be than just not doing anything? That's my point. It's always better to dream for something. And when I presented this Luz Biminda, I call it Luz Biminda because it's the Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao bridges that will connect the three major islands of the Philippines. When I presented this, you know, an engineer came to me, Chinese American, came to me and asked me, Architect Pineda, you are the curator of this, and you presented this concept and this vision. I said to him, yes. And then, you know what he told me? He said, you know, I would like to know if you're from Harvard, you know, if you're a graduate from Harvard, because this is how we do it in Harvard. We think big. We think of something. And then I said to him, you know, I'm not from Harvard, but I'm from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. And this is how we think in the Philippines. This is what I would like the world to see. When they sense that the Filipinos have something to offer, they would love to collaborate with us. You know, after that moment in Taipei, it was an affirmation. It was a clear vision that I saw that when I go back to the Philippines, I will have to present this to NEDA. I will have to present this to everybody in the government as far as I can go. And up to now, I'm presenting it to you because I need to set a dream. I need to plant the seed to this dream. And when I proposed it, for sure the future will show and somehow will guide us and make us achieve this. But this is where I'm dreaming with everybody. So just for you to have a little bit of entertainment, can I just share with you a video? Architect G, can we just please share with them? So please enjoy this short film. wait for them now. Okay, so that is the Luz Bimin division. So again, I shared it because I would like to plant this particular seed, no, the dream. And now that you've seen it, it's a dream that I've already shared with you. It's so hard to take that away from your mind, and hopefully for the next generations to come, please share it with them. It's the future of our children, and hopefully we can make them live in a better Philippines. No? Now, in doing this, God is so good. God is so good that this vision of a modern Philippines, I never really dreamt of doing certain things. I dreamt of, envisioning the country, but I never really imagined that I will be able to design a city like the modern Philippine city, which is Clark. And it just landed on my lap, and it was really a blessing that I would say, it's an architect's dream, and not even sometimes in a lifetime of an architect you get to design this kind of a project. And I think it was more of a purpose that I need to perform. And this is something that I said when I was stopped by the government. When they presented to me the Clark plans and they presented to me the vision, I said, if this is, it was called the Clark Green City, the Sustainable City. And that time I said to myself, this cannot be. This is an opportunity. And I told the government, I said to the government, there are a lot of green cities out there that even before we build this, we can be already obsolete because they are better. They are better as a green city, or they're better as sustainable cities. But what I really somehow made clear to them was the fact that I said to them that let's claim this city by birthright. And that birthright is to claim it as the modern Philippine city. And take note, Italians will not create modern Philippine city, they'll create modern Italian city. The French will do that also with their French design, modern France. But to know that there is a need for a modern Philippine city is something that triggered the minds and the imaginations of the government. And when I said it to them, they said, so how does it look like? How does it look like? That question was for me a music. It was music to my ear, because the fact that they're asking, the fact that we don't know, the fact that we are to discover, then we are ready to evolve. That is my point. And when this Clark happened, when I was putting this together to create a design that's inspired by nature, I said to myself, what's a grand inspiration? What can be a grand inspiration that will make this city grand? And I tell you, there's really nothing grander and greater than nature itself. So when I looked at Tarlac and Pampanga, it just presented to me Pinatubo, Lahar. And Lahar became the fiber of the city because I decided to create the architecture of the city made of lahars, because this lahar that flows from the mountain even up to now can supply us for 200 years with all the lahar that's there, and you quarry on the rivers, and it will not run out, and it can build the city, and it will build an authentic city that is Filipino. Even if you have volcanoes in Indonesia or in Hawaii, even if they make their architecture made of lahar there, it's still a different architecture. Ours It's our own lahar. It's our own nature, and that makes it authentic. So that became the inspiration, and the architecture of it became the inspiration of this SEA Games stadium, the athletic stadium where we held. And this practical luxury design, take note, I work with the budget with the government. I cannot do this project if I'm beyond the budget. And we're able to finish it earlier than the scheduled time. That is because we approach it to do practical design. So basically what you see is to the very essence of what it needs. So we didn't put any decoration. The concept is the pinatubo, the mouth or the caldera of the pinatubo, and also the orange, the active orange, the colors of the lava when it's, you know, it's active. So it becomes a sports center, you know, it becomes a sports venue. This whole design, we're able to make it on the top 10 stage of the world, you know, competing with Japan for the Olympics. It made it to the list. And take note, it is within the budget. It is not over budget. It is not over design. It is just right for the Philippines. You know? So we also have the Aquatic Center with for the swimming competition. So again, what's nice with this area, because when we checked all the best aquatic centers all over the world, when we toured and we checked them, there's a lot of those stadiums or aquatic centers that are enclosed because they have winter. But in the Philippines, we are tropical, you know, and you know that the water requirement for the standard pool for FINA or for the authorities who approves the standards for pools for this competition, they have a requirement that it needs to be at a certain degree. And what's nice is that the water in the Philippines, especially the ocean, is constantly the same temperature required for this. So you don't need to enclose it. So we opened it up and look at the view, the beautiful view of Pampanga and Tarlac. So imagine you are featuring and framing nature and simplifying things just because you are listening to nature. You know? So this is their athletes village. So you know, this is the first time that we have this kind of facility. You know, the last was 1930s, I believe. You know? And when the first time the athletes saw this facility, they cried when they saw this facility where they are going to sleep, their accommodations, and that made also us feel, you know, that architecture and design can really uplift the spirit of the Filipinos. No? So this is the government housing for the people who's going to be working there. So they just walk. No? So for you guys who are abroad, I mean, I'm just also updating you with what's happening in the Philippines. So this is a 9,000 hectare development, 9,400 hectares. We just started a 45 hectares. This is just the beginning. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the beginning of the face of the modern Philippines. This is not the face of Pampanga. This is not the face of Tarlac. This is the face of the modern Philippines. No? So this will carry the new standards of the Filipinos. It will have parks. And we also did the design for the new Clark International Airport. So hopefully all of you guys from the north, when you come back to the Philippines, by next year, you can enter the Philippines through the new Clark Airport because you deserve it. You know, Filipinos, we all deserve to have the convenience, the luxury of design, the luxury of comfort. You know? And I don't believe anymore that we should compromise our bubbles. You know? There should be space, there should be services, there should be proper facilities like this to somehow make all of us see the future of our generations, I mean the next generations to come, that they are also assured of a better life. So we've also designed the entry bridge that will lead to the new Clark City. So we have all these bridges will be part of the Luz Biminda Bridge. And right now, and I would like to invite everyone, I believe you are aware of the World Expo 2020, but now it's moved to 2021 because of the pandemic. We are designing the Bangkota, which is the Philippines Pavilion for this World Expo 2021. And I would like to show you a video later, but I'll go through it quickly. Bangkota is the name of the pavilion. This is a 1,300 square meters, and this is the biggest that the Philippines has done from the World Expos. We call it Bangkota because it's the ancient Tagalog word for coral reef. No? And this time I wanted to present the nature of the Philippines. No? And take note, we are the center of the marine biodiversity of the world. We have the entire marine species in the Philippines. We are the only one. We own that. We own that nature. We are the nature of all these marine species. No? So we are the center of the center, and we are highlighting that in creating the architecture. We are presenting and we're designing this pavilion with all the materials available in Dubai. No? We are not bringing the Bahay Kubo to Dubai. We are not putting bamboo. We are not putting the indigenous material just to say it's Filipino. No, we are bringing the sensibility of that Juan de la Cruz when he was asked to put up a house or a building in Dubai. He will just use all the elements that's available in Dubai, and that is what we call, again, practical luxury. And we are presenting the colors of the underwater world, and this will be the architecture. This is an impression of the architecture. We are already building this. We are on time. Take note what's good with practical luxury. When we presented this to the World Expo, and we said that everything will be coming from Dubai and all the materials will be sourced from there, it was a big plus for a sustainability pavilion. No? But then it's also a bigger plus because now with all the rest of the pavilions having specifications or materials that are imported from China or from Europe, they're all delayed. You know? But the Philippine Pavilion, we are on time and we are on schedule because all the materials are available in Dubai. Now, so we are presenting our culture, our people. I will present this maybe more in details in maybe another segment or another discussion. But just to give you an idea that this is being one with nature. Our showcase will be one with nature, the Philippines nature. And I would like you to be there also. I would like to invite all of you to be there because it will give you that basic idea of our roots as Filipinos. So that is Bangkota, and I would like to share with you the video, a very short film, and that will be, I think, the last part of the major slide. I mean, the film. G, can you kindly please? There's no audio. No audio, G.
Press G, wala pong audio. Paki-replay po ulit. Paki-click G.
I would like to just mention to you that the essence of this presentation is not just to exhibit architecture and the exhibit itself, the art exhibition, but this is really to showcase the Filipinos' present state of mind. No? This is what I'm trying to present in this installation or this translation that we're showing you, because I would like to change the mindset also of the world, you know, wherein when they look at the Philippines, we are not anymore a museum piece that is an artifact. No, we are not anymore tribal. We are not anymore, you know, the backward. No? And this is what we're saying. This is what we're presenting. We are presenting the modernity of the Philippines. We are presenting our tradition. We are presenting our nation. And this is a proof that we are ready for business and we are ready to partner with the world. So that is for Bangkota. And again, to just end this talk, I would like to share with you the idea that I always been wanting and I've been wanting to share to everyone. You know, I'm a dreamer and I always want to dream about this modern Philippines. And in that dreaming, I learned that there's so much things to discover. And in fact, it's fun. It's actually exciting. It's amazing to know and to understand the journey that you'll encounter, how you to know and further understand the roots of you being Filipino. And I think that understanding led me to opening up to evolution. I am now a modern Filipino. I am enjoying the liberty and the freedom of creativity, and I would like to share it with everyone. I would like to share it with you. I would like to share it with the whole Filipinos all over the world, because what's next for me is a progressive Philippines and a better country for all of us. Thank you so much.
Wow. Galing. Wow, maraming salamat po, Architect Royal Pineda. So
We are
I'm
so
convinced.
much inspired this morning.
Yeah. I'm
Galing.
convinced na hindi lang po
Proud
tayo
to be
natuto,
Filipino.
kundi na-uplift din tayo. Sabi nga sa isang kanta, taas
Ano?
noo kahit kanino.
Kahit kanino.
Ang Pilipino ay walang iba, kundi ako. So maraming
Yes.
salamat po. Hindi siya architect, but I think I consider him as a visionary.
Wow.
And we are praying po that sana ituloy-tuloy yung lahat ng vision mo para sa Philippines ay magtuloy-tuloy, na hindi pumasok po yung politics. So isa po sa na-inspire ako sa talk mo, Architect, is yung don't stop loving ourselves as Filipinos. Walang mangyayari po kung di tayo lamang po magtutulungan. Maraming salamat po. I did not just learn today, but I was uplifted and inspired that there should be a Filipino in every design that we are going to make. So, ang architecture po, hindi lang po sa architecture, sa design. You see, through architecture, we uplift and we become proud as a Filipino po. So, Architect G, so we'll proceed now po for any question and answer portion.
Yeah. Baka merong mga tanong nandyan sa ating chat box.
Meron
Architect Darwin,
Meron pong isa kanina.
meron ka bang nakita dyan?
Yes.
Masyadong na-amaze ang lahat. We are all overwhelmed
Hinahanap ko po.
actually. Pero meron nag-comment, goosebumps daw, Architect Royal.
Well,
Okay.
I'm just sharing with you what I've been constantly seeing. You know, what makes me keep moving forward is because I keep seeing a beautiful future for all of us. And that's the only way for us to achieve it, to dream together, because I cannot do it alone. One cannot do it alone. But the happiness to see and to the fuel to keep moving, that's my fuel. You know, every time I see it in my mind, a better Philippines, a modern Philippines, I get out of my bed and work and try to achieve it.
Yeah, that's a modern Filipino. It's always in time, not late.
Parang may nakita na akong question.
Yes po, from Russell
Architect
Torres ng
Darwin.
ICEP po. Ang question niya po, Architect, is right now, we are in the era of digitalization. Please share your experience how modern Filipino design concept can be embedded in the digital world.
You know, yeah, we are very much in the the world is moving fast, and that's why I'm saying let's move forward also as Filipinos. Don't worry about abandoning the concept of people thinking that we're abandoning our roots. We can celebrate our roots and be progressive at the same time. And this can happen, for example, in digital world of architecture, or not even architecture, even with other things. Like we are constantly collaborating with animators, with graphic artists, with branding consultants. We are collaborating with fashion designers. You know, all of this creativity, this is endless. This is infinite. Then I'm sharing with you, if you remember what I shared with you, that my precepts, my law, the law that I follow is nature. Because nature will never run out of creative inspirations. Now, technology will always be a tool. There will always be a future tool. There will always be progress. There will always be a modern way of doing things. But the creativity will never run out and will always be authentic as long as you know where to get it from. If you're an architect and you're asked to design a house or a museum, and the first thing that you do is look at a magazine and the work done by others versus going to the site and understanding the topography and the nature of the place, those are two different things. You are now not being truthful. So the fact that you are truthful and you have new tools to create your designs, people will keep moving forward with technology, but what's important is you always have creativity. Because tools will, again, it's a matter of getting it, but nature and inspirations will always be integral to you. So the way to move forward is to constantly be updated, know the best practices of the world, but take note, the world's best is not always best for the Filipinos. Take note of that. It's not like a doctor. When a doctor tells you that you take this pill because I gave this pill to someone, it doesn't mean that it's always good, and you don't even ask. So there should be an understanding that the Filipinos deserve what is for the Filipinos. So technology-wise, we are open to collaborate with all the technology. But at the same time, we are also rooted and constantly working on our identity as Filipinos. I hope that answered his question.
Yes po, malinaw po, Architect. So another question po is from Leo Losaria, Architect. What can you say about the Philippine Senate building who was designed by foreign architects? Supposed to be our architects to design better po. Pagkakaalam ko, marami nagtitaas ng kilay dito po.
Yeah. Well, I always believe that a modern Filipino architecture should be done by a Filipino, in collaboration with the best architects or consultants of the world. I am not saying that we'll do it alone. If there are new technologies, if there are great ideas that is, again, global, I would love to take them. But then the soul of a Filipino can only be brought by a Filipino. So that's what I'm saying in every project that we get into with the government. What we bring in on the table and what we put on the table is that Filipino-ness, that Filipino soul that no other consultants, foreign consultants, can bring. So it is inevitable, it is important, it is a requirement that an architecture that is Filipino should be done by Filipinos. So we can collaborate. So that's my take on that. No, that's my take on that.
Okay, maraming salamat po. Another question po from Rogelio Aguilar of NOCTI. What one piece of advice can you give to students aspiring to pursue architecture? We have several senior high students here. Maraming salamat po.
Well, you follow your heart, like what I did. I just followed my heart. Architecture is my first love. In fact, I almost became an engineer. I was enrolling in Polytechnic University of the Philippines, and then my mom brought me to an engineering queue, for enrollment. And because my mom's friends are engineers, so the familiarity with the mom, I want to build houses, I want to design houses. Oh, you'll be an engineer. So she brought me to engineering. And what's nice is like when we queued and then reached the end of the queue, it was already closed. So it was closed. So, and then my mom said, "Oh, it's already closed. Look, there's architecture. That's also designing houses. Come, let's go to architecture." And I didn't know what's engineering and architecture. In fact, I didn't know the difference. I just said I like to design houses. And then when we queued, when we reached the end of the line, it was also closed. It's full. So my mom convinced the dean, and it was the dean of architecture that time, and G knows him, Architect Recochea. And my mom, of course, sold me out to the dean and said, he's a good student, And siyempre, nanay ko yun eh. So, wala tayong magagawa. Talagang ibebenta niya ako. So, and then that moment, that dean, with the registry na nakasarado na, it's all full, he just put my name right after the last name and said to me, if you fail one subject in the first semester, I'll kick you out. So that was the challenge. So after that, the rest was history. And here I am now in front of all of you presenting my dream.
Napakagandang advice po, Architect. Just follow your heart.
Actually, magkaklase kami yun ni Architect nung college.
So, ang nakuha pong advice doon, just follow your mom.
Actually, sa PUP, laging mahaba ang pila doon. Ako naman iba. Dapat ako pinapipila ko sa accounting. And sabi ko, haba ng pila na accounting. And nakita ko may architecture, lipat ako ng pila. So napunta ako sa architecture. Siya pala iba rin ang kwento niya. So okay. Nice to hear your story also.
Okay, last two questions po ata.
Okay.
From Nicole Ashley. Being an architect that has collaborated with other architects globally, have you observed a certain aspect being overlooked by other architects?
Yeah, like it's really a teamwork, no? It's a collaboration, no? So in collaboration, it's like you are a left foot and a right foot, So you have to walk together, And there are a lot of things that one might miss out, the other one might miss out. But it's really about, two heads should be better than one. If you're not willing to collaborate, better do things on your own, because you have to be open to the concept that the reason why you're partnering is because you are wanting help, and you should be open, and you should be already knowledgeable of the fact that you cannot do everything. So when doing collaboration with foreign architects, either the project is here in the Philippines or project is abroad, sometimes I bring in a great idea that they'll take. Sometimes they bring in great ideas that I'll take. So the beauty of collaboration is it's not the person that wins, it's the idea. So that is the spirit that we all have to do in the modern bayanihan, in the modern collaboration that I'm saying. We have to do that spirit, because that will make our country progress. That will make our country better, because let's forget about the crab mentality. Modern Filipino na ako eh. I should abandon all those. Sasabihin natin, yung tradition, importante. Importante ang tradition, but you have to know what tradition to leave behind and what you carry and move forward with to progress as a people. So this is what I'm saying. No? So collaboration should have an open heart.
Okay, maraming salamat po. And another one from Geoffrey Ases, architect. Hiring an architect is always perceived to be expensive. What can you advise to our non-architects participants here?
Well, that's why I created and coined the words practical luxury. No?
Yeah.
Practical luxury is what I made not for my company alone, not for myself alone, but I created it for the country. Why? It's because I cannot dream of a modern Philippines. I created the dream, but if I don't know how to get there, it will never happen. It will only be a dream. And I created practical luxury because I wanted an avenue where I can know and lead people how to dream it and how to be in it. And practical luxury is what I'm saying, that the SEA Games with the same budget, the same amount, don't deserve to have as a mediocre stadium. You don't deserve a lousy stadium just because it's government project. Stop the excuse. Just because it's Filipino, stop the excuse. Just because you were rushing on time, stop the excuse. That was only done within 1 year time. No, design and building it. But what I'm saying is practical luxury is about the creativity of the Filipinos being able to address what is practical for a Filipino. So meaning to say, if I am an architect, I'm being hired by a client. No, this is for the architects out there and the students for the future. Clients, please respect the fees of an architect. Clients, please wag niyong tawaran ng tawaran. Pwede naman tumawad, kultura eh. May tawad lagi ang Pilipino eh, di ba? Pero wag niyong sobrang tawaran. Because why? In fact, you are entrusting the whole amount of your investment to your architect. Take note, kung ang bahay mo, let's say a house is 100 million house, okay? 100 million house, and you are trying to tap an architect whose fee is 1 million. Okay? Just because ayaw mong magbayad ng arkitekto ng tama. Now, okay, you did that. Now your 100 million investment, when it gets done, it looks like a 20 million house because of the wrong architect. Okay? Or maybe you ask another person who's not even a professional to do it. You need an architect and you have to spend for an architect because your investment is at stake. If you pay for the right architect and you got the professional services of an architect, they charge you what? 5 million, 10 million for 100 million house. Your house now, after it's done, looks like a 200 million house. That creativity that this architect will give you will be something. And it applies to both regular priced houses or the more mass houses. A creative architect can even create a beautiful bahay kubo. Take note, the one I showed you a while ago, yung pinakita kong lumot house a while ago, that's only 250 square meter house. No? That house was only, the houses in Forbes that you've seen and some of the houses that you've seen are 150 to 200 million houses. But the lumot house was only 4 million. No? So you can see the big difference, no? But there is no excuse that you cannot do a great design just because it's cheap. No? So what I'm saying is, please, for all of you, please tap a creative architect or an architect, hopefully the right architect, and make sure that your investment is secured with your architect. So, hindi mahal ang magkaroon ng arkitekto. Mas mahal na magkamali dahil hindi arkitekto ang kinuha.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Architect G. Last one question.
Meron pa ba?
Yeah, last one question na to kasi yung oras natin. Saka alam ko busy si Architect
sige.
Royal. Ito kay from Engineer Fidel de Vera. In order to create equitable urban spaces, citizens' ability to move freely and safely throughout the city is paramount. What is the importance of designing to maintain as much green space as possible, rather than retrospectively adding it after other steps of the design process?
Well, that's why a total design approach is important. No? That's why it needs a full vision, no? A master plan that we always start with, a full vision that we start with, because a master plan is, again, the grand plan. No? We do not grow things like what happened to Manila. Things just sprouted. No? There is sustainability in all the plannings. No? The landscape, the open space, the spaces that are commercial, which is revenue making, and so on and so forth. I mean, these are all considered. And in the end, it's all about the people. You know? It's really all about the people. Just like what I said a while ago also when I was talking about Makati. Makati, when I was talking to them, their requirement because Makati is already a built environment, no? That's already there, like even before we were born, no? So tayo, nakita natin Makati is all full of buildings, no? And when I spoke to Masaya, the authorities of Makati, they're saying to me that I need to build my building all the way to the property line, okay? And that means to say, I will again squeeze all the people to fit in that small and narrow pedestrian walk, because I have to build the building all the way to the property line. And I asked them why. Why does it have to be like that? They said because it needs to look nice. It should look like there's a straight line for the whole alley or the whole street. I mean, that reason I couldn't swallow. I couldn't take that. I believe that it cannot be just visual. It needs to be the people. It needs to be about the people. And when they said green architecture, it needs to be green. You put a garden on the roof deck. I said to myself, nobody goes to the roof deck. It's just the gardener who will water the plants. You know, they wanted that concept. But I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to present something else. So what I did, as I mentioned a while ago, I lifted the building up. I wanted air for Makati. No, I wanted Makati to be permeable again, because it's all full of buildings. Now, when you walk under that building, you can see the sky, you can feel the breeze, and it brings out all the fumes of the city. This is about planning and creating a vision. The vision will guide us towards what we want as a goal. And the rest of all the rules and the technology that's available, these are tools. These are tools for us to achieve a vision. But what I would like to set first constantly is a vision of a modern Philippines. And the modern Philippines is a better Philippines. How is better? What is better? We are architects. There are the guy who asked question is an engineer. What is a modern Filipino engineering to you? What is a modern Filipino architecture to us? What is a modern Filipino teaching, procedure, curriculum? I want things better. Everything should be better. A Barong Tagalog cannot just be a Barong Tagalog forever. There should be another way of doing things. There should be another way of making things better. So that's my take in urban planning and city planning.
Wow, maraming salamat po. So, I'm honored. Isa pong malaking karangalan na maging MC sa
Thank you
webinar ni
also.
Architect Royal Pineda.
Thank you, Darwin.
Maraming salamat po. So, uuwi kami, hindi lang Pilipino, kundi isang bagong modern Filipino. So,
Thank
maraming
you.
salamat po.
You
As a
can,
token,
you can all take it home.
yes, free. Thank you very much. And as a
Thank you
token
very
of,
much. Thank you very much.
yes, as a token of, tuloy-tuloy na po tayo, as a token of our appreciation for your time and your valuable contribution, may I call on PPO President Fernando Arce to kindly present a memento to the guest speaker. Maraming salamat po, Sir Royal.
Thank you also, Darwin. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sir Darwin. Napaka-inspiring naman ng talk ni Architect Royal, no? Habang pinapanood ko siya, nagugusbump ako, no? I'm looking forward dun sa Los Bimin, no? Napakaganda ng Pilipinas pag natupad natin yung dreams na yon. I think it's more of a patriotism, no? Yung love natin sa country natin, dapat ilagay natin dyan. So, for us to help to grow the Philippines, I think we can start as an OFW also. On the financial guy, I think we should invest also in the Philippines para ma-help natin mag-boost yung economy ng Pilipinas. At the same time, para yung mga project, matupad talaga dahil dun sa mga taxes na binabayaran natin. And we are crossing our fingers, no, na mapunta yung mga taxes na binabayaran natin dun sa project na pinakita sa atin ni Architect Royal Pineda. And again, congratulations and to all of us. Thank you sa pinakita mo, Architect Royal Pineda, no. Actually ano kanina, natutulala ako kanina habang pinapakita mo yung video, no. Talagang nararamdaman ko yung love yung love sa bansa. Kasi yun yung kulang sa atin, I think yung kung i-push natin ulit yung pagmamahal sa bansa natin, no, yung patriotism. I think malayo ang maabot ng Pilipinas. Kaya ako medyo to be honest, no, konting segue lang, no. Nagpaplano ako dati before, no, na mag-migrate sa Philippines at sa ibang bansa. So sabi ko, I realized na kung lahat ng Pinoy gustong umalis sa Philippines, mag-migrate, sino pa ang tutulong sa ating bansa para mapaangat natin, no, sa mga as compared to other countries. So ako, yun yung naisip ko. Sabi ko, oo nga, no, kung lahat tayo magdi-dream na mag-migrate, sino pang matitira sa ating bansa para i-uplift yung bansa natin, paano yung mga next generation natin. So napaka-inspiring nito at ako kasi yun din ang advocate ko, no? Yung patriotism, yung love, though in another aspect lang, financial side, no? Pero the same advocacy. So yung kulang sa atin yung love sa ating bansa. So sana may balik natin yung makatulong yung pinakita sa atin ni Architect Pineda, no? Na mag-boost ulit, ma-flip ulit yung spirit natin para maniwala tayo na ang Philippines can be a greater nation in the future.
Yes.
So again, thank you, Architect Royal Pineda. And with that, I would like to give this certificate of appreciation on behalf of PPO-SA. This certificate of appreciation is given to Architect Royal Christopher L. Pineda, UAP, in grateful recognition of his valuable contribution in sharing his professional expertise as technical speaker, topic Modern Filipino Architecture Design, held on the 4th of September 2020 at Al-Khobar, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia by Zoom. Stand yours truly, PPO President, Dr. Shaila Rojas, PPO Secretary, Engineer Clint C. Marquez, Professional Development Chairman. Again, on behalf of PPO-SA, Architect Royal Pineda, and the whole community here in Saudi Arabia and in other countries, thank you and God bless you. And sana matupad natin yung pangarap natin na maging better nation ng Philippines. Again, good morning and thank you so much.
Yun, maraming
Thank you very much, Architect Royal, for accommodating us. Actually, si Architect Royal is very busy, no? Buti na lang na pagbigyan tayo nitong ating patriotic architect. So inspiring really to hear all those words. At we are so proud as architects here abroad. At we are proud to be global architects with that sense of modern Filipino, Filipino architect. Yan. So actually, I'd like to promote also they have the books actually that they are promoting. They have this Budji book. It is a journey of design for the chairman of the office of Budji+Royal, Mr. Budji+Layug. If you want to avail also of that book, you can just keep in touch with me and I'll get rich with Architect Royal staff and you will have it actually. And of course, we'd like also to let everyone know that you can also catch Architect Royal Pineda, not in the Zoom, but also a special lecturer in Polytechnic University of the Philippines.
Wow.
He is actually teaching there. I didn't know that actually, but it was sent to me. Architect Royal didn't know that you're teaching also. So you've seen the passion of this man, and it was so felt, di ba? So ramdam na ramdam talaga natin yung passion niya for the love for the country. Yan. So, meron pa ba?
Yes, meron pa po. So tawagin na natin po si Engineer Clint for the closing remarks. Muli po, maraming salamat talaga, Architect Royal, for your time. Alam ko napaka-busy ng isang arkitekto na ganyan.
Okay, maraming salamat, Mr. Moderator. Actually, every time I say an architectural design, I always think of civil engineering calculation on actually how to support those infrastructures and how the substructures can actually sustain the superstructures, loads and weights. Anyway, that is actually the beauty of being an architects and engineers. Again, thanks to our very energetic moderator, Architect Darwin Fundano from UAP, and also with our, to our PPO officers, APO members, students, guests, friends, good day po sa ating lahat. Thank you also to our professional organization, the host of today's webinar, the UAP Saudi Arabia, headed by one of our prettiest PPO council members, Press Architect Geraldine Swedy. Thank you, Press G, for your great effort and leading this webinar into a successful event. The 7th PPO-SA webinar with the topic of modern Filipino architectural design, which just presented by our subject matter expert, a very well-known and awardee architect, no other than Architect Royal Christopher L. Pineda. Thank you, sir, for sharing to us the very interesting architectural topic. Hindi pa rin talaga ako maka-move on doon sa Luz Biminda concept na yun.
Ganda.
Anyway, I would like also to say thanks to everyone for joining our webinar, especially to the students, hoping that this topic and our best effort that we provided to you will help you in some ways to gather a new information and additional knowledge of what is really the importance of architectural these days. I'd like also to grab this opportunity to invite you again on our next webinar, which will be hosted by ICEP KSA ERC, a group of professionals and electronics engineers under the leadership of one of our epic engineer, Melvin De Landetso, with a very important and interesting topic of cybersecurity, beware of phishing attack, which will be presented by one of the subject matter expert for this, no other than ASEAN engineer, Russell Vincent Torres from IECEP KSA ERC. Once again, thank you so much, and I hope to see you on our next webinar. And please don't forget to take the post-evaluation, as this will serve to provide any feedback on how we can still improve our webinar, and most of all, what topics we may be able to share to you under PPO-SA future webinar. Please also don't forget to please fill up the registration of our next said webinar via provided link in the chat section of this. Thank you and God bless everyone. Thank you, Architect Royal Pineda.
Hey,
Thank you.
salamat.
Thank you.
Congratulations, PPO.
Thank
Before we
you.
close, press, may we request all participants to open their cam para makuha na natin ng picture to. Napaka-memorable na webinar to, no? Kasi we're talking about lost women here. So kailangan na maging isang magandang dokumento to in the future. Press Clint, naka-co-host po kayo, pwedeng ano?
Kaso, please, mahina yung ano ko dito, kaya hindi makapag-focus ng ano eh.
Sandali po ah.
Sige, try ko din. Try ko lang din.
Paki-open po yung ano yung mga cam nyo kasi hindi po natin alam saan page kayo kasi 10 to. So smile lang kayo dyan.
Saglit.
Yun lang po. Basta keep smiling lang po ah. We have 9 pages here so bear with me. So we are on 4 of 9.
Press RC, yung camera mo, wala ka.
It's okay, nakuhanan ko na kanina bago ko pinatay sa akin.
Okay.
Last one.
Smile lang ng smile. Nakarating ka na ba?
Abot na ako sa last.
Abot ka na sa 10?
Yes. So again,
Yan.
thank you po sa lahat ng nag-attend and of course to Architect Royal Pineda for giving for expertise and time. And we're looking forward for sana we can invest din sa mga project niya, napakaganda no. So mga OFW, especially sa atin no, nakikita na tayo, makikita pa natin yung future natin na napakaganda. So again, tulungan lang. Thank you again, Architect Royal, and sa lahat po ng nag-attend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Architect Royal. Thank
Architect
you.
Royal.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you,
More power,
Royal.
more projects. See you.
Thank
more.
you, Architect.
Keep in touch
Bye.
for everyone.
Thank you, Royal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Salamat po.
Keep safe and God bless.
Keep safe.
God bless us all.
God bless.
God bless us all. Thank you po.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
for
Architect.
coming.
This is PPO-SA webinars now signing off.
Thank you.
10, 9, 8, 7. Architect G, thank you ha.
Salamat, Architect Darwin.
Oo.